Disturbing is the best way to describe this video with the caption, girlhood lessons. Teach them young. Hashtag girlhood, hashtag young. You're not going to believe what you're about to hear right now. We have a single mom who's teaching her daughter something that she believes all young girls should learn. What is that? No more wasting time. Let's check it out.
Today, my daughter learned two very important lessons about life. Number one, don't use your money when you can use a man's. And number two, men be lying, okay, constantly. Let me tell you what happened. She got a slip home from school today that said she needed $10 for a field trip. I said, cool, I got $10. But then I thought, you know what? Now would be the perfect opportunity to teach her. You don't have to pay for nothing when you have men in your life, right? So I said, we're going to call all the boys. We're calling uncle, we're calling both grandpas, and we're calling your dad. All right. So we start with pawpaws because pawpaws, they're the easiest ones, right? Start them slow, guaranteed results. First pawpaw, she doesn't quite know that you can't just ask for money on the hello, right? So as soon as he answers, she goes, hi, pawpaw, I need money. Luckily, this is the pawpaw. He really don't give a damn. You know, he said, how much you need? She said $10. He said cent. She sees that it pops up in my text thread. She says, thanks, pawpaw. Okay, next. Click. He texts me, he said, did she say next? I said, yeah, she did. So I have to teach you to be a little bit more subtle. So I say, when this pawpaw answers, ask about his day. Then ask for money. So she does. He answers. She says, hi, pawpaw, how was your day? He says, my day was good, sugar. How was yours? She said, my day was good. I need money. She did ask about his day. All right.
So far, are you guys with me? Are you following exactly what's going on? She says, don't use your money. This is the lesson. What lesson? The lesson she's teaching her daughter. Don't use your money when you can use a man's. That's the lesson she's teaching her daughter here. She goes on to also add that you don't have to pay for nothing if you have men in your life. Who are the men in her life who she's now, what it looks like, taking advantage of financially and teaching her daughter to do this at a young age? The daughter's grandfathers. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Shisha, you know, you're being a bit too harsh here. Listen, we get it. This is the coffee pod. You have to keep it real. But guys, follow me. All they needed was $10. They got that $10 in the beginning. And that's where it should have ended. What it looks like is being taught now as we go forward is how to manipulate the men in your life so you can get money. Something wrong with this. I don't like it. If it happened maybe a couple of times, I'd also be forgiven. But they keep going. And I just have this strong inkling that she's not teaching her things like, hey, how to not end up a single mother, like your mother. How do you know this, Shisha? Go check out some of the other videos on her page. We're going to get back to this. Don't worry. Listen to this.
When I was 20 years old, I had this 54-year-old man who I used to let come over and fold my clothes with me in them, girl. I mean, I had his name saved in my phone as laundromat because he could cycle through a couple different loads in one sitting.
So when she says fold her clothes, obviously she's figuratively speaking here. She's talking about a man, 54-year-old man here, I think she said, who took her to Pound Town as a young woman.
I mean, that man could go and go and go. And if I remember correctly, this is the man who actually showed me I had a little rinse cycle on me. He showed me I had a faucet on the girl. I mean, oh, he opened my eyes to so many things. But this is the only man I ever really kept a full secret. Like, nobody knew. My roommate didn't know. My friends didn't know. We kept it so under wraps. One, because we worked together. He was a head chef at a restaurant that I was waitressing and bartending at the time. So we couldn't tell our coworkers and nobody could know that we were involved with each other because I didn't want him to lose his job and I needed my job. Two, because of his age, obviously. I didn't want my friends judging me. Also, this man was like 5'5", bald, but that wasn't a surprise to my friends. I love the bald man. I used to butter that scalp, girl. Oh my God. Anyway, and he was chocolate, right? But the most important thing, I knew his son pretty well. I mean,
So if you're wondering how this woman ended up a single mom and in the position she's in now, bad choice in men, there she's pretty much telling you that she smashed a 54-year-old man and his son for a while. This is who her daughter is learning lessons from. Let's talk about the sponsor of this channel, fathershaverights.com. Engaged and soon-to-be married men, a single prenup slip-up can cost you tens of thousands later. Waiting until the last minute or signing under pressure are the mistakes that sink most agreements. My step-by-step guide at fathershaverights.com, built with expert attorneys James Sexton and the lead attorney, shows you exactly how to avoid every costly prenup mistake. all for the price of a couple of dinner dates. Tap the link pinned to the top of the comment section to safeguard your future and join the hundreds of soon-to-be husbands protecting their marriages the right way.
His son pretty well, and I couldn't break up like that. I couldn't tell him I took his when I was.
Now, I know what some of you guys may be saying. She's grown. What's wrong with this? Well, her daughter can also see these videos, right? What happened to shame? Why is it that we just accept these type of very intimate moments being shared publicly on a platform? But hey, girlhood lessons that she taught her daughter young. Let's keep listening.
We're working on it. He says, okay, how much you need? She said, I need $10. He said, what's this for? She said, a field trip. He said, when you need to buy. Now, at this point, I'm realizing it's too many questions happening. I'm going to have to talk to him about that. But he does send the money. She opens a text to her. She said, did you send it yet? He said, no. How do you want me to send it? She said, Apple Pay.
So you're going to have to talk to her grandfather for asking what's the money for.
So he does send it. She sends him a cute little voice message and says, Papa, you're the best. And she gets her money. Now she's excited. She hyped. She's like, oh, I only needed 10. Now I got 20. Let's keep going. She calls her dad. Her dad answers and gives her a whole lecture about how she shouldn't be asking for money. I don't like that, right? Not only that, her dad says he's going to send it at the end of the call after this long lecture, and he never sends it, right? She checking, he don't send it. She said, I called him back and said, no, we don't ask twice for money. You never ask twice, right? So she said, okay, uncle. Call uncle. He answers. She says, hi, uncle. How was your day? Great. My day was good too. Can I ask you something? Can I have some money? Perfect. Perfect. He says, of course. How much you need? She says, $10. He said, how you want me to send it? She says, Apple Pay. Sends it right on the spot. Not only that, she learned how to request it. So all he had to do was press accept. I said, my girl's learning. She's a quick study. Okay. He sends the money. Now at this point, she got $30. She's hyped. Real hype. She said, but wait, my dad didn't send me nothing yet. I said, let me look. I check. I said, you're right. He ain't sent nothing. She said, he lied. I said, did he? She said, yeah, I don't like that because he said he was going to send money and he ain't send the money. Should I call him back? I said, no, remember, we don't ask twice for nothing. Okay. She said, well, I'm going to have to tell him about lying because we don't lie. Period, Gray. Period. We don't lie. She said, I really don't like that because that's my dad. How he can't send me $10? Right. How he can't send you $10? She said, he got $10, right? I said, and he do. And he do. She said, men be lying. You're learning fast.
So not only is she over here spreading her private, intimate moments with multiple men. She only showed us one video. We have one more. But she's also over here executing parental alienation. A lot of people don't know that talking badly about the other parent continuously, because you're not going to convince me that this is the first time, even though she didn't. She left it open-ended and it allowed the daughter to buy into what she believes, that her baby daddy is this horrible person, but he's still the father of her daughter. So you're destroying that relationship even more. Now, yes, sure, the guy could be a terrible human being here. However, this single mom isn't ranking high on the role model scale for young women either. As always, we're going to check out some of these comments. Let's see what people have to say. I can imagine she got a lot of support from women who are also in a similar position. Top comment here says, a lecture for $10. And so over here, they decided to jump the dad verbally in the comment section. Somebody responded back, for real, giving very crazy, very insecure. Somebody else here added, that was my stepdad growing up. I had to beg for bus money that he'd only hand over after I stroked his ego for minimum 30 minutes. Well, what's the big lesson here? Keep your legs closed. And also, what message can we send to the men who populate the world with their seeds and are willing to listen? Of course, sexual discipline is important. You will destroy your own self if you are planning to continue creating broken homes, even as a man. Let's get back to these chicks here, because let's be honest, this was a crazy lesson. And sure, if it was done in an appropriate way, I'd have looked at this completely different. The way it's kind of framed and structured here, this is highly problematic. Somebody else here added, next lesson is teaching her to ask for more than she needs. Here you go. right? Ask for more money than you need. Here's somebody else who says, my daughter started saying, how much are you willing to give me? Here's somebody else who says her father, over $10. Good Lord. You know, the reality of this situation is I wouldn't be surprised if she's been sort of painting him out to be the villain continuously for a while now. And yes, while I encourage men to fight for time with their children, at least those who will listen, because again, if you've already picked the guy who doesn't give an F, he's not going to give an F what I have to say. I'm also know that this could be very taxing for the men who have to deal with these type of chicks. Another person here says, never ask twice, most important rule. Next caller, here's somebody else who says, the first papa, definitely her mama's dad. Here's somebody else who added, a lecture over $10 is insane. He swore he was teaching her a lesson by not sending it, and he did. Here's somebody else who says she is her mama's daughter. So is that what you want, for her to turn out exactly like you? I don't know. Here's somebody else who says, Apple Pay Papa, easy and simple. Here's somebody else who added, that's okay. Papa's and uncle got her. Now, let me be very clear. If any of my nieces or nephews reached out to me, and I do have them, and they asked for money, and it wasn't that much, of course I would help. The issue I have is how everything was presented. The idea that you don't use your own money when you can use a man's money is crazy. And also the whole you don't have to pay for anything if you have men in your life is also insane, because this is also feeding that community mindset and government assistance mindset outside of a marriage, right? And I think I'll be safe to also assume that she's not prioritizing that man who you should be able to lean on financially for assistance, for help, to not be a husband. No, it's the men in your life.
I just got a you up text from a man that I rode one time back in May. Ain't rode him since. Left him where he was. Why did I leave him where he was? Because I found his wallet and he had told me he was 24 going on 25. Y'all know I'm 28, so that's even a little young for me. Turns out his ID said he was 21. He was 21. Baby, he still had a student ID card in his wallet. He still has a meal plan. He lives in a dorm in the college down the street. I didn't know that. He lied about all that. I did not know that he was that young. Had I known that, I would have not licked his booty. I would.
So instead of prioritizing finding, a man who would be respectable enough to maybe help you raise up a family, and they do exist, as much as men are like, no, sister, stepdad thing. It does happen. Instead of you maybe trying to rebrand yourself, here you go, going deeper into the red flag category, talking about how you like to lick booty on your first sexual encounter with a man. That's just crazy. I get we're adults, but I think it's crazy he's getting online and saying it with a video that has 14K likes.
Save that for someone who could handle it.
When you're a mother.
I would not have rode that man from dusk till dawn the way that I did. But I had just got back, landed my plane from Vegas, and was still a little tipsy. So I was giving him cornstar treatment, okay? I would not have done that had I known he was 21. Now he around here acting like a raid-resistant roach. I cannot get rid of this man. I done told him 15 ways till Sunday that, baby, I am too grown for you. Find a girl your own age. I got a kid, I got a house, I got a car, I got all these things. You still live in a dorm. It's too grown for you around here. I can't get rid of this man. I should have never licked him down there.
I should have never licked him down there. This is the role model. A few comments here, of course. This lady here says, you did what, sis? And somebody else here added, I don't know, sis. You didn't block him. So here she says, I did. He found me on Facebook. Here's somebody else who says, you unintentionally cast a spell on him. He's yours now, she says. Here's somebody else who added on to that and says, like, you got to raise your son now. Here's somebody else who says, it's my fault for being on TikTok and not working. Here's somebody else who says, he gonna propose next time he see you. Another person here added, oh, that's a core memory for him. He's never going to forget you. Another person here says, you turned that baby's life inside out. He'll never forget you. Let's also not forget that if this was an older man here talking about doing unspeakable things to a 20-year-old, 19, 21, however old this young man was, this video would have 100 times the views and they would be on his helmet. Just Wow. Hey guys, as always, I appreciate you checking out yet another episode of the Coffee Pod. To my currently engaged or soon to be married men, if you need a prenup and would like a guide that shows you how to get a solid and legally binding prenuptial agreement, hit the link into the top of the comment section and access your guide at fathershaverights.com today.